Hey, welcome to the Venus Retrograde series with J-me Scorpio AF Astrologer. Today we're going to be diving into what this all means for Aquarius risings. And for you guys, you have Venus retrograding in your 7th house, which is opposing you. And this is very much a make it or break it kind of a vibe for relationships. Or if you're single, you're not entangled with anyone, then this can be related to your work, particularly if you're an entrepreneur. So I'll get into both of them, but I'm going to start with talking about relationships because that's what everyone seems to want to know all about. So basically, with Venus, the planet of love, romance, marriage contracts, things of this nature, in your 7th house, which is about your marriage partners, your long-term partners, things like that. There's sort of like this connection going on here, and so there's things to really reflect on. And because Venus is about values and things that support you, there's going to be a lot of reflection on like, how does your relationship support you? Is this good for each other? Things of that nature. And it's really going to be able to tell you whether things are going to work out or not. And this is really only a breakup vibe if this is a relationship that's really not working out. Whereas if it is working out or you step up, it's very much like an accountability thing. You know, you take ownership on both sides in order to really elevate. And the best way to do this is for you to think about what your values are and what matters to you, what's important to you. And another thing worth mentioning is that your 7th house, while it's often related to romantic things, it's because it's the sign that's farthest away from you. This is the side of you, the shadow side of you, that you have to integrate. So with Venus here, this is asking you, what are some values about that make you feel confident, where you are literally putting yourself in the spotlight and speaking up and advocating for yourself in relationships? Do you need to integrate more with? Or if your partner or you are more prone to being selfish when it comes to matters of relationships, then this is going to be something where it's really important for you to balance that energy out. Now, what's really interesting about the dichotomy of this is that you have Leo in your 7th house, and the Leo is about your self-expression, it's about your heart chakra, whereas Aquarius, your rising sign, this is who you are as a person. This is an air sign. It's very chatty, so it's all about communicating. So they're both forms of expression. While Aquarius is more about the community and being friendly, this is the energy that you're meant to master. Now, whether this comes to you easily or not depends on where your Saturn, which is the ruler of Aquarius, is, and the aspects that it has, and how easily it gets, how you're able to use that energy. But essentially, this is really to say that for Aquarius risings, what's best is for you to navigate the world in a way that is practical, logical, like really get support from your community, both online, your friends, and just building things together. Like you're gonna find strength in your group. And this is also true if you have your sun in Aquarius here too. So if you're not an Aquarius rising but you have your sun here, you can apply this more in like a work environment dynamic. And if you do have your sun here, then Venus, the Venus retrograde, is opposing your sun sign. So now that would show that there are things in relationships that you might be resisting that's important for you to integrate with, whether that's learning to not be so selfish in relationships, for example, or to learn to be more independent and to speak up for yourself and recognize what you deserve and show up more as the genuine version of who you are. Because if you're finding yourself to kind of not fully express that, this is going to be the invitation to really just put yourself out there. And not just for you, but for whoever you're involved with as well. Now, because Venus is coming together with Mercury, you want to also take a look at your Mercury placements as well. The reason why I'm saying that there's very much this theme going on of relationships is because whenever you're looking at planets, you want to look at the sign that the planets rule. So with Venus retrograding, you also want to take a look at Taurus and Libra. Now, you have Taurus in your fourth house of home. This is about your family. This is about your foundational needs. This is about your roots and where you come from. Whereas Libra, you have this in your ninth house of your spirituality. So you can find relationships to be very much a spiritual experience. And so as you're speaking up for yourself, as you're connecting with your partner, ask yourself, the way that you're connecting with each other, the way you guys are expressing yourselves, is this in spiritual harmony? Do you feel aligned? It's important for you to pick a partner that really helps you to become successful and elevate. They say that some of the best the determinants of relationship success is whether you're with someone who is supportive of your dreams and goals or not. And Leo is about your professional success. So picking someone who really supports this area of your life is especially important. And if there's things that in your relationships, if you have challenge that are rooted in things related to your mother or your family, your home beliefs, things of that nature, this is the time to work on it. And if you want to go a little deeper, the fourth house can also be related to your past lives. So this may be a time to do some past life regression as well, because you are ruled, your chart ruler is ruled by Saturn, which is a karmic planet. So there could be things related to your past. If you want to dive into this, this can be a great time to let go of things that you may have inherited, beliefs from your family, from your mother, from your roots, from your past lives. And this is something you could especially do during the full moon in Aquarius, which is going to be on August 1st. So you can definitely set that intention out there right now. But as far as those are the areas related to Venus, with your, like, the influences to look at as far as your home environment, and also connecting with your spirituality. If you're finding that you have a really hard time relating in your relationships, things of that nature, connect with your spirituality. What feels aligned and good for you? Now, in ancient astrology, Libra was associated with Kundalini. In modern astrology, this is associated with Scorpio. But the reason why this was associated with Libra during ancient times is because Kundalini was seen as when two people come together and they intertwine, and then the combined energy creates this Kundalini. And so you may find that maybe a spiritual practice for you may be related to something that's tantric and Kundalini in nature. Now, one of the reasons why I say this is because you do have Mars in the 8th house right now, where you have Virgo. And the 8th house in modern astrology is about Tantra and Kundalini. And Mars it relates to sex. So you can sort of use that energy to heal, because the 8th house is also about trauma healing and letting things go. Another reason why this is an important area to look at is, like I mentioned, Venus is retrograding, and Venus is also connected to Mercury right now. So you want to take a look at your Mercury placements. And so you do have Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, in your 8th house of trauma. So not only is this very much a theme with relationship, partners, romance, things of this nature, but also about traumas in your relationships or things related to that. So there is that. And then Mercury also, on top of that, rules your 5th house, which is about romance, love, dating, your flirting style, all of these different things. So you see what I'm saying? Like, the parts of your chart that's really being lit up are about your dating life, your long-term partnerships, trauma, sex, spirituality, which can potentially, for some of you guys, have a sexual undertone to it. And it's also about your home environment. And if you're in a partner and you're living with someone, this is also going to affect you a lot more deeply than someone who is together but not necessarily living together. So there's definitely some things to dive in here, and you're gonna know. Like, I've heard from so many people, they were like, oh my god, it's such make it or break it season, and everyone's breaking up and all that stuff. And that's because these are the relationships that are meant to fall apart. And that's not just Venus retrograding. This is also because we have the South Node, which is an emptying out energy It's a karmic energy, and it's a lunar point in the sky that's represented by a dragon's tail. And this is in Libra right now. And so with Libra representing partnerships, it's emptying that energy out. So, but it's only emptying out whatever doesn't serve you. So there's a lot of that, but right now there's sort of that reinforced energy going on specifically for Aquarius risings. So this is something to take a look at. I would recommend that you really just look at like what kind of a what values are important to me in relationships. Are there any stubbornness and anger that I'm hanging on to, ego that's important for me to let go of? How can I speak up for myself? How can I be the truest version of me? Have I been holding back who I am? How can I show up more and be more fully me? What are the fears and beliefs that I might have inherited from my family that's influencing this? How is this affecting my romantic life? How am I managing these traumas? What action can I take right now to make corrections in my traumas? This can be a great time to do some research and study and learn about trauma healing, because you do have Mars, the planet of action, in Virgo, the eternal student, who wants to learn, who wants to study. For you, processing your traumas in a very practical, logical sort of a way, journaling, writing, going to school, learning, whether it's education on YouTube or going to the library, getting a book. These are going to be things that is really going to be supportive for you. So these are things that you can take a look at. And if you're having a hard time, lean on spirituality. Look at whatever harmonizes you is going to be something that's really great to look at. And for some of you guys, this may indicate a breakup or even a get together. This can be really changing your public status, because we do have Pluto. We have Pluto retrograding in Capricorn right now in your 12th house of fears, suffering, psychological downfalls, things of that nature. And Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, so it's very much about traumas, and it's also about endings. And Pluto, rules your 10th house of your public image, your public reputation. So this could mean that there is an ending to marriages. So there's a lot of stuff going on here that's really important for you to take a look at. And in order to make sure that you are really maximizing this placement in a way that ultimately helps you, take a look at your second house. For any sign, whatever sign is in your second house, this is what supports you and your physical body, which is whatever sign you have in your first house. That's you. So for Aquarius risings, you have Pisces here. And so things related to Pisces is what supports you in your physical body. This is spirituality, forgiveness. This is about music, creativity, isolation. And so there could be some indulgent qualities here, especially if you're of the same generation as me. Neptune, being such a slow planet, is in your 12th house of addictions. So that can be very much a thing. But right now, you want to be careful with that. Like for people with this placement, even if it's not done in a healthy way, drugs can be a form of coping mechanism. It's an escapist. It's a way that you escape, and it's even if it's destroying you, it's still serving a purpose for you as a coping mechanism in some way, shape, or form. And the way to resolve that is through processing your traumas, learning to let things go, working with that Pisces energy. But right now, it's really important to be responsible with your addictions, with your indulgences, whether that's food, alcohol, whatever your addiction is, because you do have Saturn, the planet of responsibility and consequences, in Pisces, which is about addictions. And so this is the time where you do want to be responsible. And if you want to learn more about the best way for you to use this placement, please check out my Saturn and Pisces videos, Saturn and Pisces videos, as well as Saturn retrograding Pisces. So the first video talks about how Saturn and Pisces has a lot of fated karmic promises, and I share with you the ways that you can really take advantage of this. And then in the retrograde video, I talk about some predictions on the best way that you can use this energy and how it can show up for you. So this is something that you can really take a look at. Now, I do want to give special attention for those of you who are single, because I'm professionally single. And so whenever I hear a reading and it's like so relationship themed and focused, I'm like, that doesn't apply to me. And so I don't want you to feel left out, so I want to give you some insights. So even if you are single, this can be a time where you can reflect on having Venus, Mercury, and the Sun in Leo here, because the 7th house is about things that you need to learn to integrate with. They're the things that are farthest away from you. So like, this is going to be talking about how you can be more confident in relationships, particularly because especially if you have your Sun in Aquarius, right, natally, which means that like if you were born with Aquarius in your if you're born with the Sun in Aquarius, right now with the Sun being in Leo, they're opposing each other. So the idea of romance and romantic partnerships and stuff, there may be some resistance here. And so this is something to take a look at. What can you work through? What are some thoughts that you have that are benefiting you and not benefiting you? What are your values? And very similar concept, you know, when it comes to what I mentioned about your family. Is there anything that's holding you back, or anything that you admire about it that gives you confidence, that inspires you, that you can incorporate more of? And for you guys, it's really important to pick partners where you do feel a spiritual connection, because you do have Libra, the sign that's all about romantic partnership, in the spiritual house. So this can also show that you can travel with romantic partners. This can be, or even for business or work. So if this is work related for you, especially if you're an entrepreneur, the 5th house isn't just about romance, love, dating. It's also about your own business. And so you have Mercury ruled Gemini here, and so this can be a time where, because Venus is retrograding, this is, if you're from like a marketing perspective, marketing yourself to your clients, which is your 7th house, with things that you've done in the past, particularly that puts you in the spotlight, or even spotlights them, or reaching out to former clients and connecting with them, and maybe offering some sort of like a special deal can be a great thing, because Venus is retrograding, which means that money, you can get reruns with financial experiences. So something that you have done before can be a way that you can bring in more money. And you can do this through communication, through collaboration, online, with that Mercury energy going on. So this is something that you can definitely take a look at. And this is really promising, because the 8th house is your client's resources, and there's and you have Mars here. So this is about taking action. So this can be very much like focusing on, particularly Mars rules your 10th house of career. So if you're in a scorpionic field, such as a psychologist, a geologist, a researcher, an astrologer, anyone who's looking at, or like an investigator, anyone who has a scorpionic career where you deal with secrets, that's the 8th house. That's where your Mars is in right now. This is an excellent time to be able to get money from those situations. So look at how you can redo something that was really successful in the past to get some of that, to get some of that cash back. And let's see here, what else? So we've got the 7th house focusing on the clients. The 5th house is about your own business, Gemini. So this can be a great time to do a collaboration as well. And I already mentioned the clients part, that's the 8th house. And Venus ruling your 4th house. This is, if you're working from home, this is also going to be even more true for you in your case, and especially if you're in a spiritual industry as well, or if you do have a lot of one-on-one partnerships, this can be the way to put someone in the spotlight in order to promote your business. So there are different ways to look at this energy and figure out the best way for you to use it, but ultimately for any Aquarius rising, you really want to take advantage of Aquarius being about communication and Leo being about expression. They're both ways to express yourself and look at how you can do that in a way that's ultimately going to be really beneficial for you. How can you do this in a way that's going to be financially lucrative? How this is going to make you feel at home. This is especially true also if, say, you're an artist and you work out of your home as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this. If you are an artist, maybe some of the artwork that you can do can be a little bit darker and draw inspiration from your relationships, traumas, some of that like sexual energy, in order to really capture that essence, because Pluto is in your 12th house, and so there is a lot of like that hidden creative energy that you can pull out as well. So I hope that this video helped you. I hope that this has given you some insights, and that between what I've mentioned, something that I said, you can extrapolate that. My recommendation is to comment below, let me know what resonated with you, what you want to work on, and please share this with any Aquarius that you think would benefit from this video. And if you haven't already, follow me. Thanks so much, and I'll see you for the rest of 40 Days of Self-Love during Venus Retrograde series. Bye!